How's it going, everyone? Hope you all had a great weekend.
Hey Zach, I haven't seen you so long. Well, my weekend was great. How about you, Andy?
It was pretty good. I had a pretty good weekend. It's freezing outside. How about you, Pedro?
I'm dying. It's too much cold. I don't know if I can keep it up. How about you, Ruby?
I know, it's really cold. I'm good, by the way. And I've been hearing this word, net neutrality. If you guys know, can you just tell me about it?
Of course,
How did you get that soon?
As a matter of fact, net neutrality has become one of the most popular search in 2017. Yet few people know about that. Law professor Timothy Wu gave the name net neutrality in 2005. Basically, the idea was the internet service provider (ISPs) should treat the internet equally. In 2010, the Federal Communication Commission, known as FCC, passed the Open Internet Orders. Basically, it was to provide the internet to the people equally by the internet service providers. This is due to the scandal with the government that the said company was spraying down the internet for their own benefits. So going forward in 2014, FCC voted 3-2 to maintain the net neutrality rules and regulations. And in the same year, President Obama asked the government to take the firm rules and regulations to make the broadband as a telecommunication and it can be used as a utility. In 2016, the newly elected President Trump elected the new chairman of FCC, Ajit Pai. He announced to reverse the policy of Title II classification on broadband services, basically potentially all the current rules of net neutrality that they had in 2015, and he was totally against the 2015 orders. In 2017, the newly elected chairman promises to take down the 2015 rules, calling them 1930 style regulations. In November, FCC announces to revise the Internet Freedom Proposal on December 14, having them voted on December 14 basically. But so many senators and ministers, they asked to delay the vote, giving them so many fraud and fake comments, saying your proposal is fundamentally flawed. Regardless of the restriction from every part and industry, vote happened on December 14, and the order passed essentially removed the FCC as a regulator of the broadband services and regulates the rules that prevented blocking the content to the honor system. So just wait a second. Let's think about the pros and cons of the net neutrality. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it good for Canada or bad? What do you think?
So let's talk about the pros now. Is putting regulations on net neutrality a good thing or a bad thing? From the moment the internet was first released to the public in 1996, it has become a way of life for thousands of people. It has created a window to a catalog of an immense amount of information for everyone, despite race, location, or social class. Let's just take a look at the numbers for a second. In mid-2017, there were a total of 3.58 billion internet users. Now, let's compare that with the amount of people in the entire world. By mid-2017, we were a total of 7.5 billion people. So, this means that at least 47% of the entire population of the world uses the internet. So now, I throw a question at you. Is it okay to regulate and block the content of access to this information for almost half of the entire population of the world? Net neutrality promotes fair competition among internet service providers, which we will call ISPs, giving us users complete freedom and informed decision when it comes to choose which company should I hire. As it stands now, ISPs are forced to release both public and contractual information regarding the service that they offer. So for example, they have to tell us what is their speed on load times, on high peak times, and also they cannot obstruct or incentive any other service they have a contract with over others, making it a fair game. By keeping the net neutrality principle, ISPs, they cannot charge any extra hidden cost. For example, ISPs, they cannot charge you extra costs just for fast lanes for using online streaming services like Netflix or PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live. If they were to do this means that certain users will not be able to afford this cost. So they won't be able to use it, and only those that have money will be able to pay for it. This also affects companies, because this means that small companies won't be able to compete with larger companies just because this is not on their budget. Let's just keep something straight here. ISP's original role is only to transport the information. They are not supposed to meddle with the data. Another benefit of net neutrality is that it prevents discrimination. How? By keeping information open and free for everyone despite its socioeconomic status. Just think of a moment. If we didn't have net neutrality, that means that ISPs would be able to prioritize streaming content for entertainment over educational one. Can you imagine? They would be able to charge you premium fees just to access the content of a public library. So of course, who gets the benefit out of it? The richest. What about everyone else? As it is right now, ISPs companies, they have less control over what goes through their infrastructure, and it should stay that way. Net neutrality also promotes freedom of speech. This means that anybody around the world is free to express their opinion, their ideas, and their thoughts without being afraid of any backlash. But let's bring it locally now. What about Canada? Since day one, the internet has been treated under the Telecommunications Act, and the government of Canada is firm about upholding the values of net neutrality, and no matter what other countries or jurisdictions decide.
By now, you probably think net neutrality is the greatest thing, right? Well, you're wrong. You are obviously forgetting how easy it is to post whatever you want for the whole world to see. This means that there's a lot of unfiltered content floating around that may not be suitable for all viewers, such as children. For example, strong religious beliefs, graphic ISIS videos, adult chat rooms, violent video games, and most importantly, child pornography. If you don't believe me, listen to this. Child pornography has become so common that Webroot, which is a security and threat intelligence research group, says that every second 28,258 users are watching it on the internet. Even Statistics Canada shows a major increase in child pornography offenses by more than 200%. Signe Mason, Associate Director of the Winnipeg-based Canadian Centre for Child Protection, said the sudden increase is because offenders can easily record, upload, and therefore spread illicit material all over the internet. And the worst part is that people have started to watch adult content when using public Wi-Fi as well. Look at this survey, which was done in 2017 by Norton, the antivirus software and spyware removal company, who found 1 in 6 people admitting to watching adult content using the free public Wi-Fi in areas like hotels, cafeterias, at work, and even bathrooms. But luckily, for parents out there, we have millions of softwares that can hide these contents before it reaches your kids. But that's not all. No one seems to notice how ISPs are charging you the same as these big companies who use massive amounts of data. But since no one seems to be complaining, then it's fine. But don't you see, this is affecting the entire ISP infrastructure. How, you ask? Well, ISPs should charge these companies who use so much data and instead use this money to improve their services. Imagine if they could provide internet access to the other 5 to 6 billion people around the world. But I guess they could find more sponsors and start a fundraiser by spreading more awareness to improve our internet service providers. So that's one solution solved.
But how does this net neutrality talk in the US actually affect us in Canada?
Instances of traffic shaping have occurred in the past from companies such as Bell and Rogers. Traffic shaping involves manipulation of network flow. These companies should be considered like utilities, meaning that they cannot be influenced. Companies such as Verizon and Comcast control the pathways for this traffic, but that does not mean that they should be able to control it. And although Canada plans on keeping its network neutrality policies, we will still get affected if countries such as the US does not, because we still get most of our information from American websites. The US is overlooked by the FCC. If the FCC does not gain control over the ISP providers, they will be able to leverage companies into paying more. This has already happened with Comcast and Netflix. Netflix had to pay more to get faster streaming for their videos, and if this becomes the norm, then small business companies and startups are going to be pushed out by larger corporations. The FCC needs to gain control over the ISPs so they don't create a monopoly in the market. Companies such as Verizon and Comcast will have total control over what goes in and out of the internet. That doesn't seem very fair now, does it? A part of the Canadian democracy, we promote freedom and equality. If this happens over the internet, they will be taking all of that away from us. If Canada does end up scratching its net neutrality, there are ways around it. In countries such as Portugal and New Zealand, they created packages. So there's video packages, messaging packages, music packages, and email packages that you would pay certain rates for to get exclusive data to. So in Canada, we could be paying packages to get onto YouTube, Netflix, use Spotify, and possibly even just to access basic websites on the internet. In conclusion, net neutrality provides fair competition and keeps away discrimination. It prevents ISP providers from gaining control and blocking certain opinions from surfacing the internet. Although we are fighting to keep network neutrality alive in Canada, we still may pay the price. Most websites come from the US, such as Netflix, so if anyone wants access to them, we might need to pay. The internet's potential is to drive innovation, creativity, and most importantly, economic development. Do you think it's fair to deny 3.58 billion people access to something so beneficial? So let me ask you something. What are you going to do about it?
Okay, that was weird and educational at the same time. But thanks, guys.